for her to go to work before I can finally do whatever the fuck I want. And she wasn't leaving for like another hour and a half. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude, this, like, I'm trying to figure out what to do. Like, yeah, sure, I can play a game in silence, you know, I can't listen to any music, and the only thing I have right now is ketamine. I have a little bit of weed, yeah, sure, but I mean, fuck, dude. I'm on a full-fledged binge at this
too
point
much to the
in my
right.
life. I'm trying to do hard shit. This was probably one of the periods where I smoked the least weed, with a few exceptions. Coke Chronicles and my probation period. Probation's implied, though. But this is one of the periods of my life where I smoked the least weed, the beginning of last year, believe it or not. Because I was doing so much other harder shit. Like, in my free time, smoking weed was not something I thought of until it was night and I was trying to sleep. Because I'd been up doing hard shit all day, you know? Whether it was Flow or K or Molly, it didn't fucking matter. But I'm doing this fast. And I'm getting suited out of my
this one up. It's extremely far from the cup as well, so let's try to get this maybe within 5 feet or so, and we'll call that a win.
And I lose track of time for a little bit, which was for the better. I guess you could say for the better.
And a 15-footer for him.
My girlfriend at the time had
this
left.
putt looks like it's going left to right.
I didn't even notice when she had left. So I was sitting there for probably a good another 20 minutes after she left, just vibing out.
About a dozen feet to the hole from here. Nothing too crazy in this one, I don't think. Just a little bit to the left. Oh, man. This one's about 8 feet from the cup.
This was a strat I employed very often. It worked wonders, right? It worked wonders. But either way, I went back to my office. I call it my second studio. I don't even have to do it back. I just walk up the that I use right now before and I still have my hand. So I often do the
this one's just 3 feet.
But my office will call it, right? I go back in there and I sit down.
And finishing your round with a bogey on the final hole.
Now, this morning is still pretty tame, right? Like, yeah, it's 7 a.m., 8 a.m. No, it's like 8 a.m.
That's going to do it for our round here today. Thank you ever so much for playing.
You know, that was normal for me at the time. So I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm still playing some escape. Like I said, not doing anything crazy. What ended up being crazy is what happened after the next bit of K I did. So I opted to go for a bigger amount. I did not follow the only bump rule. I opted to go for a line, and this is where I fucking ruined myself. Now, this was some good K, mind you. It had that grip that tasted like shit. It hurt your nose in just the right way. It had good little stars, you know? And a little tip here for anyone who does end up doing K. If what you're getting is straight up powder, don't snort it. Alright, you want some little shards in that bad boy. And that's what I saw with this. So I was like, fuck yeah, this looks really nice, you know? I could tell this is going to be some decent quality. And it was. As soon as I tried this batch, I was like, wow, this is fucking great. So I'm feeling fantastic. I have to do a full line. And I'm like, dude, as bad as it tastes, you know, it's that classic ketamine taste, it goes away so quick, you know? That's how you know it's good shit. It just goes away like that, you know? I would snap, but I don't know how to snap my fingers. I swear to God, I'm not even kidding. But either way, so I do a line, and I'm feeling pretty alright for like 5 minutes after doing the line. However, very quickly shit hit the fan. Now, I'm sitting at my desk, and I start to feel this feeling of, it's hard to explain. Almost as if I was falling down in a way, like as if the chair I was sitting in is like the floor tilted under me. But I wasn't like full speed fall. It just felt like there was nothing holding me up, if that makes sense, you know? I started to feel really fucking stupid. I mean, sedated. I'm sitting there, but I'm still able to function. I'm just slow, right? Like, I'm typing slow, I'm moving my hand on the mouse slowly, I'm looking around the room also like, damn, dude, you know? And at this point, I expect this to just be all the line's gonna do to me, you know? I'm like, oh wow, just hit me now, wow, that's strong shit. No, dude, I don't know what the fuck it is, because I only did 2 bumps and then a line. Admittedly, it was a pretty fucking fat line, but this shit was crazy. This shit was nuts. Right? I mean, cuckoo. I start to feel just slow. It's like I'm falling. And I start feeling really weird. So I immediately stand up for a second. I'm like, dude, I don't really want to sit down right now, you know? I stand up and I kind of start walking around, and I just realized my legs, I can't really feel my feet. It was weird. I'm walking around in my socks, and I'm like, dude, are my legs asleep? Like, I can't fucking feel my feet, you know? This is kind of weird. Like, I feel like I'm going so slow, I can't feel my feet. So I'm walking, and I kind of do a little circle around my chair, and I sit back down. Maybe another 4 or 5 minutes go by. And at this point, I'm not even doing anything on my computer. I'm just sitting in my chair, leaning back like glued. I'm just like, what the fuck? And all of a sudden, I get this almost like tunnel vision effect. There's this black border around my vision. Like my eyes are half closed, but they're not. It was a really weird effect, but it's not the first time it's happened to me on ketamine. And as soon as that happened to me, I realized I was a-hole, and I was sitting there, and I'm not going to lie, I was kind of freaking out in terms. I didn't feel fear, because when you're on K, you feel such a tranquility that it's kind of hard to actually feel scared of anything. But logically, as my brain was churning as slow as it was, I was sitting there like, oh, shit. You know, like, damn. I'm locked the fuck in, dude. So I'm sitting in this chair glued. I'm so stuck to this chair within 15 minutes of taking this line that I couldn't actually lift my arms enough to reach my mouse on my desk. I was quite literally stuck in this chair. And I'm sitting there glued. I look like I am paralyzed from head to fucking toe. And I kind of was when you think about it, right? Now, at this point, I had K-hole since I was in high school, and I was fucking 22 last year. So it has been probably over half a decade since I'd actually truly full-on K-holed like this. I'm sitting there, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit scared, dude. Not actually feeling that fear, but like I mentioned earlier, just logically thinking like, oh fuck. I'm glued to my chair, and I sit there, and this felt like the slowest event ever, because I couldn't do anything. In reality, the amount of time that passed was only maybe an hour, but I'm sitting there glued to the chair, not able to do anything, and all I could do is just look around me, right? I'm kind of able to turn my chair around and move my legs a little bit to turn myself, but I wasn't even going to try standing up. I still had a whole shitload of ketamine left, and I'm thinking to myself, I remember as soon as it hit me, after I got past the oh shit moment, I'm thinking to myself, how much did I even fucking do? You know? I keep having that thought swirl in my fucking head, but eventually the K hit my brain too. Now, a lot of the time when I do K, I'm still able to think fairly clearly. It's a much more physical experience for me. But this crossed the line. My thoughts started slurring like my speech would have if I had been talking to anyone. Thank God I wasn't. So I'm starting to just completely lose myself and sit in this chair just glued. I mean, this was not a good ketamine. The only thing to hold me down for me was that this shit was fairly quality. So, you know, as much as I would say I didn't like it, I kind of did, you know? Like, I was just sitting there like, yeah. You know, like, obviously, I'm not gonna fucking die right now. You know, I'm all right. I'm chilling. This has happened before, so I kind of calmed down a little bit once my thoughts turned into oatmeal. Because how could I not? What stress could I have? I can't even smell anything in my brain. I don't think I have any pattern recognition in my brain. Like, if someone put a dog in front of me, I don't know if I could have identified that as a dog, dude. But I'm sitting in this just tranced state for what felt like forever. In reality, I don't know exactly how long it was, but I'd say about an hour or so. I started to feel myself kind of come out of it, you know, and throughout the whole kind of trance that I was in, this cable, my vision, like I mentioned with that tunnel vision thing, was kind of going in and out a little bit. It was almost like it was pulsing. It was really fucking intense. And I'm not gonna lie, after this, I never did a full line of K again for like this entire fucking binge, dude. This shit was fucked. I was knocked out of my socks. But after this, I started to come out of it a little bit, and I just felt so relieved when I started to actually feel my ability to move again, you know? I started like scratching my neck and realized I was like, oh my god, I just fucking, like, I scratched my neck, and it started coming back to me. I was like, oh, damn, alright, I'm good, you know, I'm coming back, fuck yeah. And that, it was torturous, honestly. Like, yeah, I felt that euphoria going through me, I felt that sedation, but the just torment of, I don't like drugs that turn me into opium, okay? I like ketamine in low doses at the time, because it just turned me into oatmeal, but I just fucked up on this particular day. It's part of the reason I'm not a big Xanax advocate, yeah? I don't like Xanax, I don't support it. I've done a fair bit of it, but that shit makes me stupid every time. I don't like drugs that make me dumb, you know? I don't like that shit. But I made that mistake today and made myself stupid as shit, I'll tell you what. So I started to come out of it. Once I scratched my neck, I started calming down. I was like, okay, fuck yeah, we're good. I reached for my water and I took a sip, and it was warm by then, but I didn't even care. That hydration was slapping. And I had to sit in that chair for another minute before I was even willing to get up, dude. I was glued. Despite the fact that my thoughts came through and I'm still getting basic movement back, pardon me, I still had no urge to walk whatsoever. There was no shot. I wasn't walking for shit. I wanted to go lay in my bed so badly, but I just fucking couldn't at that time. So I sat at my desk, and I shit you not, doing nothing. This was the most boring morning ever. At one point, I remember, I think I accidentally made my stream start playing again, and then I had to sit there and listen to my own stream box for like an hour. I got sick of that and eventually got the courage to go back to my bedroom. And I laid in bed and knocked the fuck out. I was out for like 8 hours, dude. That night, I remember I woke up. I got woken up by the girl who lived with me at the time. She came through, and she woke me up, and she was pissed because I didn't respond to her texts all day. And then we argued, and then I lied about streaming again, and I didn't do ketamine this time. I just sat in there and smoked a bunch of weed because I was pissed. So, hey, the process repeats itself. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Thank you all for supporting. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, gamers. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with an absolute banger of a video. A true hoot and a holler, if you will. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also, the Grinder giveaway ends in 3 days on April 30th. So, for those of you guys who haven't got the chance to enter yet, make sure to click the link in the description. And all you got to do is retweet the tweet and follow me on Twitter. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler. A true banger, if you will. Today we're talking about the time that I drank some fake weed. Listen, this happens fairly often. Not for me, but for a lot of people. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also, head over to goblin420.com and check out some of the new holiday merch options. We've got some new hoodies available now. And all purchases are 15% off all month long. That's right. The discount is automatically applied. So all you got to do is head over to the merch site, put some items in your cart. You've got stickers, you've got new hoodies, tons of exciting new stuff, and the discount will automatically be applied. So head over to goblin420.com and check out the very different fashion today. But on this fateful day, I had to drive out of my town for a court date. The ironic thing is I had to drive in order to get to a court date that was for driving on a suspended license. So in order to get to this court date, I had to drive on my suspended license because it was about an hour and a half away. I had to go to court in a town called Bloomington, Illinois, which those of you who are from Illinois are probably familiar. This is a college town. I had a lot of friends who went to school here, and at this point, a lot of my friends were still enrolled there. Now I'm a little too old for that, and most of my friends have graduated by now, but I still have a couple who are going there. But for the most part, back in these days, all the homies who ended up going to college went to this particular school, right? So a day before I get up there and have to drive up there for court, I hit up some homies and I try to figure out if there's anything I can do while I'm there. I'm hitting up all the old friends, people I hadn't seen in a while. I'm hitting up Bob, I'm hitting up Brad, I'm hitting up all the homies, right? And Brad ends up answering me. He's like, yeah, dude, you know, like, come link up. Let me know when you're out here. We can do something whenever. So I tell him, I'm like, bet, dude, I'll get a hotel, I'll spend the night, and we can link up, you know? I'll have the whole day ahead of me after my court date, no biggie. So he's like, yeah, sounds good. So I had a court date the next day, and it was early in the morning. It was like 9 or 10 a.m. if I remember correctly. I don't remember the time that they did the court date. I know the county that I'm in now, they do it at like 8:30, but this county did them a little later. They were a little more chill about it. But either way, it's kind of sad that I know that, dude. I've been through court for a lot of dumb shit. A lot of stupid shit. But either way, so I drive up the next day on my suspended license in my beautiful, trusty, reliable Volvo. This car was just lit. It had a lot of miles on it. It was very old. It was a really old Volvo 240. But it was a tank. And it got me from point A to point B every time I needed it to. So, you know, I mean, it did the job. I whipped this thing on up there, and I stuck to the back roads, you know, because I wasn't really trying to get pulled over on the highway. The plates still weren't registered to me. Yeah, this car was just stuck, you know? So I'm driving it up there. I cruise on up there. And it took me a couple hours because I wasn't going on the highway. And I wasn't really planning to drink any lean yet. I surely didn't have any. And at this point, I also only drank it a few times, maybe a handful, you know? Lean was something that I had never really made a habit out of. It was something that, you know, if given the opportunity, you know, I would probably have a couple sips, you know, maybe take a couple lines. But in general, like, it wasn't something that I was doing frequently. And I certainly wasn't buying it for myself, except for one particular incident, which we talked about in the Trap House case. But other than that, it was something I never made a habit out of. At this point, I just brought a little bit of weed with me. That's all, you know? Just a little bit of za, and I was probably going to grab some liquor when I got up there. So I cruise on up there, and I get there just in time to attend court. It was an early morning drive. It was nice and chill, you know, taking the back roads. And I go to my court date, and it was still a very early hearing. So nothing really happened. I was kind of jagging a little bit, and I didn't even have a lawyer at this point, if I remember correctly. So this was still the stage when I was, like, really early into it. You know, nothing serious was happening, but I still had to be there because this was before COVID. Nothing happened on Zoom. You're either there or your lawyer's there for you. So I had to pull up. Well, the court date went by pretty quickly. I got out of there, and it was early in the morning. It was like 11 o'clock, maybe a little before that. So I started
Let's
hitting
see
up my
what
home,
happens. She's in the deep rough.
And no one's answering. It's too early in the day. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, dude. You know, I mean, I brought like some goodies with me. I've got a little bit of weed. I guess I could go get some wraps. But it's like 10 a.m. I cannot check into any hotel yet, you know? Like, that's not going to happen. So I got to figure out what to do. I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think. I message Brad and I'm like, yo, man, you up yet? Like, what's the plan? And he's not answering at first. So I'm like, fuck. I go back out to my car and I'm sitting there for a little bit. I don't go anywhere. I'm just sitting in the parking lot trying to figure out what to do. I'm
okay,
like,
he's
fuck,
got this
man,
one
you know, like,
for
what's
birdie.
the play? There's some bars around that, like, just open, but at the same time, I wasn't really trying to get drunk at 11 a.m., you know? I mean, I was definitely trying to get stoned, but I wanted to kick it with some people. I needed something to pass the time, and I knew that if I went to the bar for the next, like, 4 hours that I had till check-in, I wasn't going to make it to hotel check-in. I was going to get fucked up in that bitch. So we had to improvise. I'm sitting in the car, hitting up everybody, and I decide, fuck it, let's just go cruise around a little bit. So I'm driving around, looking around, and I pass a smoke shop, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go. Let's get some wraps. Let's prepare for later. I pull up to the smoke shop, and I realize very quickly that the only spot in front of it is a parallel parking spot. I don't have a rear view camera. I said review. I'm fucking stupid. I didn't have a rear view camera on this car. I didn't have any sort of cameras. It was a very old Volvo. So I was not folding for that shit. I had to go park down the block and walk up to the smoke shop. So I park down the block, I walk my ass up to the smoke shop, and I go in there, and I grab myself some swishers along with a nice new disposable. It's looking good to me. Like maybe 15 minutes.
7-foot putt for him.
You know what? We got the loadout now. It's looking better. Now, miraculously, almost like God sent him, Brad responds to me. It had been like 30 minutes at this point. I was starting to lose hope.
And for the bogey.
My court date just ended. I have nothing to do. Like, what are you doing? I have some weed. Let's fucking get baked.
Okay, moving on to the next.
He sent me his location, and I realized pretty quickly that he's in the dorms. He does not have his own apartment or anything. He's in the dorms. So I'm like, oh shit, you know, like, I mean, how, like, can we smoke in there? You know, I tell him, I'm like, you know, where are we going to smoke? He's like, dude, we can just, like, smoke in your car or some shit. And I'm like, damn, it's really like we're in high school again, huh? Like, this is fucked, you know? But whatever, I'm down. So I go pull up, and I'm a little lost when I pull up to his dorm. I'm like, how the fuck do I get in here? And he's like, bro, don't worry about it. Like, I'll come get you, you know, just park up. So I park up, and he comes down, daps me up, and gets me, and he goes back up to his dorm room. Now, he's got a roommate.
He's ready to
this
let her rip
roommate
here.
ended
Let's
up
see
being quite a character. I've never met this guy before, and I'm pretty sure I never saw this guy again after this day. But this dude, what are we going to call him? You know, actually, I know for a fact I definitely didn't see this guy after this day because Brad wasn't in a dorm for very long. He got a different spot, like, outside of the dorms, like, halfway through, dude. He dipped on that shit. But either way, back on topic here. What are we going to call this guy? Let's call him Andy. I don't know. I feel like Andy is just like a fitting name for him, you know? He's a random ass dude. We'll call him Andy. So
should be fun.
He's got a roommate that we're going to call Andy. Now, Andy, it turns out, is someone who, you know, he's also kind of into the drugs. I can tell that not through conversation, but more so by the fact that, you know, there's two separate areas of this room. And there's one that is very clearly Brad's because it has a lot of the shit that he's always had over him. I mean, it's got
a little off on that approach, but that's
I clearly knew that side was Brad's, and on the other side was Andy. Now, Andy had this little nightstand on his side that had a very peculiar good on it. Goods, plural, actually. He had numerous pill bottles on there, and he didn't look very sickly to me, so I don't think he necessarily needed them. But this man was very, very about it. We're sitting in there, and I'm chatting with him. I'm like, oh, you know, what's your name? Like, are you from around here? Well, you know, how long have you been going to school? That kind of shit. He's like, oh, yeah, you know, this is what I'm in school for, yada, yada. I don't fucking remember what he was in school for. But, I mean, I asked him all the basic introductory questions. And Brad's sitting there, and he's like, you know, like, let's go smoke, bro. Like, let's roll up. So I bust out the little bit of weed that I brought with, and they had some weed as well. Andy busted out some pretty okay shit. I had brought some shit that was from the dispensary. But back in these days especially, the Illinois dispensary weed was really fucking mid. So this shit I busted out was not great. But his shit was also not great. Not very great at all. So we had matched on the mid to create the mega mid. The ultimate mid blunt. And we rolled this up in my beautiful swishers that I brought with me. And we went out to my car and we hotboxed that shit. I was looking around and I was like, you know, like, does no one care if you smoke out here? And they're like, no, yeah, you know, it's cool if you smoke out here. You're supposed to come out here to smoke. And I was like, okay, you know, that's fine. So we just hotboxed the shit out of a good old Volvo. We're chatting it up a little bit. Me and Andy are getting along, you know. I mean, I kind of like the guy.
Smart shot. Back in the fairway. Now we got a shot.
That he was definitely off more than just the weed. I could tell that he was fucked up, and I asked him.
Oh, almost perfection.
Kind of. Yeah, I didn't want to ask him, like, what are you fucked up on? You just blatantly look at him and be like, yeah, you're fucked. But, you know, I kind of tried to get to it. You know, I was like, so, what have you guys been up to today? You know, like this morning, what have you guys been doing? He's like, oh, we've been sipping. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, we've been sipping this lean, bro. Like, we just got some lean. And I'm like, okay, you know, like, I'll buy some from you. I'll definitely try some. He's like, for sure, bro. Like, it's legit, like, for sure. Come check it out. We'll show you when we're done smoking. So we finish this blunt, we go back up to his room.
He's looking
and
at
once we get back up there, Andy busts
out breaking to the left.
It's supposed to be a pint. It's imitating a real pint. But I can tell right away by looking at this bottle that there's a few things very wrong here. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not a very avid lean drinker. I never have been and probably never will be. But this bottle was so bad that you could tell without knowing much about lean that this was 99% fake. The print quality on the label was so low resolution it was unbelievable. I mean, it looks like this print was in like 144p YouTube quality. It was ridiculous. Some of the small text on this label, and he handed me the bottle, so I'm looking at it. And some of the small print on this label was almost illegible. Like, you just could barely fucking read it, right? This shit was awful. And the worst part is, this was imitating a pint of wok. So this was not trying to be, like, you know, one of those, like, low-key, kind of easier to get brands. No, pints of wok in 2020 were very expensive. More expensive now. I don't even know if they fucking exist anymore. I doubt they do. But back then, even, that was something that was not really around, you know? Like, people were drinking other shit. I mean, correct me if I'm
Come on, hold on to that fairway for us.
Like, Goblin, you know what? I had 5,000 pints of wine.
No good.
My bean distillery in my
He's
basement.
getting ready to
you're wrong
fire
and you're
away
a
with his second shot.
But, as far as I'm aware, I'm not wrong, and I'm not a fucking idiot. Now, despite seeing all of these problems with the bottle, I still fold. I don't really know why. I mean, my current self definitely wouldn't, but you have to remember that this was almost 3 years ago, and at this point, I was still a raging drug addict. I was doing pretty much anything that I could get my hands on.
So, up here on the
this
first
didn't
cut.
really, you know, this didn't scare me. I was like, what's the worst that could have happened, you know? Hey, a little bit of mint juice, like, oh, whatever, you know? That thought probably never actually crossed my mind at the moment, but you know what? I just didn't give a fuck.
A little too far to the right on the approach, I think. Well, you're not going to hit every green today. That's all right.
Bro, which I really appreciate. Like, dude, like, it's on us. Don't worry about it. Very kind of it, but I insisted. I was like, no, bro, you know, like, listen, let me cover it. I'll pay for it, even though that shit was cool. But I didn't want to let him pay for it. At least I'll commit myself.
And they managed to get that chip to drop. Fine way to finish their round.
I didn't really know how much to ask for it, because I didn't know it was actually in this bottle. So I was like, yeah, just give me how much you want.
Oh, close. Pretty close with
so
that
this
chip.
guy just
Give this a little tap and we can move on.
And then he's looking around for something that makes it win. He doesn't just pour the drink in first and then the lean, like you normally see the cool kids do. No, he just poured that shit in.
Okay, the par putt drops, and that's it for you.
He pours it, I'm looking at
All
it,
right,
and
at
I'm
the
like,
end of this
man,
one,
that
you've
just
wound up
doesn't
at 2
look
over par.
It was a very,
And that's going to do it for us
light
today.
color.
Just
Like,
flew
it was
by.
almost
Thanks
like
again for
too
playing,
light.
and we'll see you
And
soon.
it was very watery. You know, lean is thick, right? Lean is a thick substance. When you pour it, it's not just going to flow like that, you know? But this just looked a little, like, thin. You know, it had this consistency that was, it's hard to describe. It was like fucking mucus. It was kind of nasty, honestly. But this shit just didn't look right. And at this point, I should have stopped myself. But no, I sure as hell didn't. Now he's looking around for something to mix this with, and he hands me the cup after looking around for a little bit. And he's like, you know, I'm sure I got some shit, but you can just drink it like this if you want. And I'm like, excuse me, dude? Like, I didn't actually say that to him, but I'm just sitting there like, this motherfucker just said what? Like, I'm about to drink this fucking sand juice just straight up? I need something with it, you know? So I'm like, oh, you know, like, maybe, and I kind of prefer something with it, you know? And he's like, all right, you know, I'll keep looking around. And he's looking all over. And eventually, I don't know why it took him so long to find a beverage, but this guy digs out a can of soda, a can of ginger ale to be exact. And he's like, oh, you know, I got this. This'll work. And I'm like, bet, you know, no problem. I'm not a crazy ginger ale drinker, but, I mean, for this context, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. So I poured some ginger ale in my cup, and that shit is just, listen, even though it was poured in first, a lot of it was not staying at the bottom. Like, it really kind of like, it really mixed up with the drink very quickly, which spooked me a little bit. It looked a little too thin and liquidy. But, once again, I didn't give a fuck, you know? I mean, it was a little concerning, but whatever. We're here, we're in this shit. They've been sipping it, and they're alive, so fuck it. Let's get to it. Now, I drink this shit, I just slam my whole cup. I'm not a slow sipping kind of guy, you know? Let's not waste any time. When the few times I drank lean, I'm sipping that shit like a shot, dude, alright? Down the hatch, brother, we're going for it. So I just slammed that shit, bro. I just chugged it. They were like, damn, bro, like, you don't gotta drink it like that, you know? Like, you sip it slow, and I was like, oh, fuck it, you know? Now, the taste it has. Pairing it with ginger ale allowed me to really taste it, and this shit did not taste right. It tasted like someone had already dropped one of the Great Jolly Ranchers in it. It was super overly sweet, and it was not right whatsoever. Now, I want all the Wakastorians, all the real lean experts to come in my comments and tell me how is Wak really truly supposed to taste down to a T. Because I'm not a super expert on lean, okay? I drank lean before,
me, John
but
McCarthy.
I'm not a lean god.
To
all right?
PGA Tour
So
2K25. Looking forward to see what goes down out there today. We are playing 3-hole matchmaking today. Stroke play is the rules. Have a good round out there.
We've got a little Xbox One set up in there, so we're gaming on the Xbox.
Come on, give us a kick to the left. Approach shot worked out just fine.
They only had 2 controllers, but whatever. I mean, we made do. We made do. You know what I'm saying? So we're chilling out, just chatting it up, and maybe 45 minutes went by, and strangely enough, I did feel something. The strange thing is, though, I just felt kind of barred out, which is what made me call this sand juice earlier. Because although I didn't necessarily taste it, I mean, bro, I don't know what the fuck was in this shit, but I felt it, and that's the scarier part. I almost wouldn't have been concerned if I didn't feel it, but no, I felt this fucking goddamn sand slush. I don't know what to even call it. I don't know what was in it, but I just felt a little stupid. I just felt like a dumb son of a bitch at this point. So I'm sitting there, we're chilling out, and after I start feeling it, you know, I'm starting to feel a little lit, a little stupid, and I blurt out the idea that we should get some liquor. I'm like, yo, let's go hit a liquor store, bro. And he's like, yes, dude, let's go. There's a liquor store up the block. They're both down for it. Andy and Brad, they're fucking down for the cause. So we walk over to this liquor store, and I didn't realize how stupid I felt
8-iron.
I stood on. This shit was honestly strong.
And let's see what happens. This is his second.
It was strong because I stood the fuck up and I felt heavy. I felt slow. I was walking a little bit confused, you know, like I would stumble every now and then, but I wouldn't fall, and it wasn't like a serious stumble. It was just sometimes every now and then I would kind of trip up over myself.
And he's got this
I
left
felt
for
like
the
my
bird.
reaction time was just lagging.
I think this one's
and
going
I
left to
felt
right.
fucking brain dead. I genuinely felt like I was missing at least 7 chromosomes. But we walk over to the liquor store and we get on in there, and I had nothing to do with picking out the bottle. I'm standing there just browsing around until I noticed that Brad and Andy are already checking out of this bitch. So I walk over and I'm like, what'd you guys grab? And they've got a bottle of fucking Smirnoff. Now I get it. They're college age, you know, they're in college, and I'm not in college, but I'm certainly the same age. But, like, come the fuck on, bro.
All right, here's
Come
a 22-footer.
man. Like, we can do better. We can do better, you know, but whatever. I'm not complaining. I was feeling brain dead off whatever mystery concoction I had just drank. So I was down, you know. We dipped out of there, and we got back to the dorm room.
Yep, from that distance, that's going to work.
Now, I got
He's setting up for a birdie here.
Really fucking
It's
quick.
breaking to the left,
I'm
I think.
violently drunk. We're passing this bottle around, and we're just non-stop taking swigs out of it. For some reason, I was just immune to the burn of this liquor. Normally, I can't do straight swigs of vodka because you know, my throat starts burning my chest.
And he'll drop that in for birdie.
Happening. But on this particular
This one's
day,
from around
off
9
the
feet.
Giant Hill drink
This
that
one
I
looks
drank,
like it's moving a bit to the right here.
I was just ready for it, dude. I was slamming these things, right? Going ape shit, just down the hatch with every single swig of this bottle, right? So eventually, after maybe another hour, hour and a half went by of pretty consistent swigs out of this bottle, we had crunched this bottle. I mean, this thing was gone. It was maybe longer than an hour and a half, more like 2.5 hours, but we had destroyed this thing.
He's got a 9-footer here.
Fucking wrong. I had the spins intensely. The lean was starting to wear off a little bit, and I used lean very loosely because I don't think that's really an appropriate word, but you know what? We're just going to refer to it as lean for the sake of the story. So the lean had kind of started to lighten up a little bit, but now I was so drunk that I didn't really know. Like, maybe it was just a combination.
Just
or
4
maybe
feet
just
left
the
on this
liquor.
one.
I don't know. But I was not feeling well, so I'm just sitting there dying, dude.
Starting the day at even par here. Good to see.
I'm like, yo, bro, I gotta fucking lay down, dude. Like, I'm too drunk. And they're like, Brad's like, yeah, go for it, dude. You can just fucking lay down in the bed over there or whatever. So I lay there, and I'm dying, and I end up slumping. I slumped for like an hour, and I woke back up, and they're still just sitting there playing zombies. I woke back up feeling much, much better. Granted, I still was drunk, for sure. I woke up, and I was still good to go. And I don't know how I woke back up so quickly off this concoction that I was intoxicated on. Maybe it was the volume of the zombies. I don't know. Something woke me up. But either way, I woke back up feeling much better and much, much more ready to rumble. So we opted to smoke some more weed at this point. We're like, yo, you know, now that you're back in action, let's smoke some Zob. So we roll up another blunt. We match with the power of the mids to create the mega mid blunt. And we went out to the parking lot, and we sparked that bad boy up. Now we're sitting there. And Andy's like, you know, you guys want to drink some more lean? And I'm like, oh, you know, I don't know, bro. Like, I mean, I'm still kind of drunk, like, kind of not feeling that great, you know? And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, like, for sure. Just
yeah, that was a good swing.
You know,
well done.
So we smoked this blunt,
that approach kind of missed the mark a little bit.
Chilling out. We are chilling.
Okay,
like
he appears
some
to be ready to roll on this one. Let's see how this tee shot goes.
And he pours up another round of this shit, and I'm like, you know what? I'll take some more. Let me know how much I owe you. And he's like, you know, just give me like $20, and we're good for the day. You know, like, we're chilling. Just throw me a 20.
Going with the
hybrid.
So
I didn't have any 20s on me, but I ended up hitting him on Venmo, and I sent him a 20, and he passed me a cup, and all is well. All is good. I've got another cup of this shit, and I decided to sip it a little slower this time. I learned my lesson last time. This concoction, whatever it was, whatever opiates or Xanax or whatever combination of shit was in here, oh, I felt it. I felt it all right. Hey, sometimes you get some fake shit and it just doesn't hit, and sometimes you get some fake shit and it's a different drug. This is one of those times I got some fake shit and it was just something
right,
different.
just missed the
but
hole.
it was still kind of hitting,
Well,
and I was still kind of
let's
down.
see
So
how
I
he
got
gets
my
out
second
of
cup,
this one,
and
shall
I
we?
sipped it much slower, and this helped out a lot. This really helped me out. I was still feeling pretty stoned, and sipping it much slower just kind of helped me feel more relaxed and not as overly fucking retarded. So finally, I had reached a point where I was able to function a little better. I'm able to play my zombies. I'm slowly sipping my foo-foo lean throughout the evening, and I chilled there for a couple more hours until it was time to go check into my hotel later that evening. I had finished my cup a couple hours prior to when I left. It was maybe like 5 o'clock at this point when I ended up leaving and going to check into my hotel. And I dipped and I went and checked into my beautiful Marriott, which was not very beautiful. It's like your average college town, express hotel. It's pretty mid. And I checked in there and I fucking slumped. I don't know if it was just all the smoking or all the foo-foo lean or what it was, but I was exhausted. So I got in there and I knocked the fuck out. At like 6 p.m., I felt like a grandmother. It was fucked. The lean aged me about 60 years. That's crazy. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did.
This is what he's
Don't forget to
staring down
subscribe
to
if you haven't
save
already. And
par.
don't forget to head over to
Looks like a right to left
goblin20.com
break.
to check out the new merch. All of it is 15% off all month long. No matter the order size, even if you just get a sticker, that is still 15% off all November long. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, gamers.
Oh. He could save his par right here. Let's see what happens. Okay, this one for par.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today
it's always
we're
tough
coming
leaving
in
them
with
short.
a banger of a video. I
And
hope
now
you guys
this from
enjoyed
5
one.
feet.
Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And real quick before we dive in, the Goblin team is hiring, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a talented graphic designer with previous work to show, and you want to collaborate with me on my upcoming merch drop, reach out to my business email, which is in my About section. Please have experience and portfolio ready to go. List your typical pricing and show me some prior
almost
work.
nothing left
the
of this one.
entire upcoming merch drop is designed
There it is.
completely by viewers. I
And
want to
just
work with
one
you.
stroke
If you're
over
watching this video
par
and
at
you
the
make
moment.
dope art, bang my line. It does. We're coming in with a very fun story. In fact, we're actually coming in with a story about one of my previous graphic designers that I had worked alongside. Funny enough, what a coincidence, right? Now, this took place back in early 2021. I'm talking very early. It was like maybe February at this point. Now, at this point in my life, I was living further south here in Illinois, far away from my hometown, and I also had many, many legal troubles. So I would very often end up either driving back up north or even catching the very short flight back up north because it was usually cheap and no one's catching that flight. My town was Narnia. I'm shocked they even had an airport, quite honestly. Actually, I'm not very shocked. Listen. They had an airport, and it was one flight out a day. I'm not even kidding. And they didn't have a flight out every day. You had to pick and choose. Like, you got something urgent going on Tuesday? Grandma dropped dead on Tuesday? My boy, you got to catch the Wednesday flight, dude. You're going to have to wait on that. But either way, I would kind of flip-flop.
9-iron.
I would go back up north.
Well, he had a nice little shot there, clearing that bunker and sticking it on the green.
I didn't have any court dates.
All right, let's see what Tiger does here.
Not on this particular day. But I just wanted to go up there and kick it with some of my old friends. A couple of my homies were back in town. I don't really know what for because it wasn't a holiday or anything, but I wanted to go up there and link up with the boys for old time's sake. Now, at this point in my life as well, I was also
going with the
playing
9
a new
iron
Nerf
on this
drop
one.
a couple years ago, and one of the
Okay,
graphic
teeing
designers
off
that I was
on the
working
final
alongside,
hole,
he had
just
chatted
one
with me and
stroke
actually
behind
become
the leader.
friends. He was a super chill
And
guy.
that bunker
He was
will
good
be
at
in
what he
play.
did,
Let's not
and
get
he
in
did
that.
some very, very dope designs for me. Now, I don't know if I want to name the exact designs he did, because I don't think I want to sit here and expose this man like this. But let's just say he did some great work. Now, him and I were chatting,
Well,
and,
missed the green there on
that
that
he
one.
was also from Illinois, so we were chatting and talking about the designs, and as we were going back and forth, I just mentioned to him that I was going to be out of town. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be home, so I'm probably not going to be on my phone as much or my email, so, if you need anything, just
And
text
from
me.
this
I slid in my phone
incredible
number.
distance,
Now, once I slid in my phone number,
it's gonna
we're
be interesting to
texting,
see
and he
what
hits me, he's like, yo, so
pulls
where are
out
you
here.
going? And I tell him, I'm like,
Looks
well,
this one's breaking
I'm just
to the
going back
right.
up north to visit my friends, no biggie. Now, he already knew where I lived. I told him where I lived and shit like that. So he was like, yo, while you're coming up north, let me know if you want to come link up. Here's where I live.
Ooh, looks like
Now,
he's put
this
it on
man
a pretty
lived
good
in
line.
Kankakee, okay?
Oh, and the putt
Kankakee
doesn't
is somewhere
go.
that up until this point in my life, I had no idea where it
Okay,
was.
we could say
I had
par
heard of
here
it
with
just
this
because of
putt.
the silly little name, and
Now
I've
here's an
seen it
uphill
on the
putt,
news, but I
moving
had
to the
no
left.
idea where Kankakee was. For the longest time, I thought Kankakee was like a part of Chicago. I just thought it was real up there, kind of like
Here's an
Oak
11-footer.
Park, where it's like right outside
This one should
of the
start
city.
off
But nope,
straight, but then
nope,
it does
Kankakee
look like
is
it turns to the left.
Narnia.
Oh my,
Nowhere,
flew right
ladies
by
and
the
gentlemen.
hole.
Now, the route that I
And
would
this is his
normally
putt for
take
birdie.
back up to my hometown was pretty straightforward. I would essentially just hop on 55 and drive straight up. No turns, no exits, just a couple hundred miles of booking it, right? But Kankakee is out of the way, dude. Kankakee is in Narnia, as I mentioned before, but I didn't really have much better to do, and I also just didn't give a damn, so I was down. Now, the other
Okay, let's
issue with this is the
putt
fact
this one
that
on
at
in
the
there,
time,
finish
my
up.
license was suspended. So,
And
driving
ending our
that
round with
far
the tap
was
in.
already a
Nice
stressful
work.
task. However, I'd kind of
And
gotten
at the
used
end of
to
this
it.
one,
I knew
scorecard
which back
says
roads to
+3.
take going up and going back down because
Well,
I took
on
the same
behalf
route
of
pretty much
myself
every
and the team
time.
here at HB
This
Studios,
shook up
thank you very much
everything, ladies
for the
and
round.
gentlemen.
We'll see you
This
next time.
changed everything. So I'm sitting here and I'm downloading the Waze app, dude. I'm debating on buying a radar scanner. I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn, bro. But this was the night before because I left the very next day to go link up with this dude and then go up north with my homies. So I didn't really have much time to prep. I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn, like, what's the most optimal route? Like, what should I do? It turns out that the route it had me take was actually not that different from my normal one. You see, there was certain points where I would get on the highway sometimes if I needed to save some time. But I kind of learned mostly where the cops would post up. Here's a pro tip. If you're driving through Illinois and you're about to pass the town of Bloomington, get the hell off the highway. There's my only pro tip. So I hop in my car the next day, and I bring some goodies with me. I had a little bit of weed. I had also brought with some blow, because I figured it would be kind of me to bring some party favors, and I didn't really know what this dude was going to want to do. So I hop in the car with my goodies, and I hit the road. Now, the drive up to Kankakee from where I was, mainly taking back roads, was, if I remember correctly, about 4 hours, maybe a little bit less, but it's a mission. If you stuck to highways, it would probably be quite a lot less. I mean, even my drive without going to Kankakee on the back roads just up north and back to where I was living was still well over 3 hours. So it didn't make that much of a difference. Maybe an extra 30 minutes of driving to go to Kankakee instead of go to where I was going, right? So I hit the road and I'm cruising on up there. And listen, at this point I was heavy into my drug binge, okay? My late 2020 to mid-2021 drug binge was one for the books, okay? It wasn't a very social one. It wasn't one where I was going outside doing a lot of fun stuff. No, my boy, we were sitting in the crib up for 3 days talking to shadow people, my boy. We were having a hoot solo, but I didn't think I was solo, and that was the magic of it. But either way, so we're whipping, we're driving on up to Kankakee, and it's a smooth ride. If you take the back roads in Illinois, you end up driving through a lot of those really tiny farm towns where everyone there is probably racist and definitely